All right, good folks, welcome back to the channel for one of the most anticipated series of 2024, finally making its return for season 2, and we're here to break episode 1 down. That's right, folks, this is House of the Dragon, season 2, episode 1, A Son for a Son. We're us here at Big Gold Belt Media are going to be chopping this episode down. I am joined by one of the newest members of the crew, a face you may have seen here and there, but this is officially her welcome party, where she will be tag teaming with me this entire season of one of the hottest shows on television.
Yes.
Stevie, welcome. How you doing?
I'm good. How are you doing?
I'm good. I'm excited, and I'm excited because I obviously, who doesn't love Game of Thrones? And I'll be the first to say that I was late to the Game of Thrones bandwagon because in that very competitive spot on Sunday night television, I was watching The Walking Dead, and you had to make a choice. So you can tell the folks who was like, I'm done with this show, went with this show, whatever. But here nor there, pandemic came around, and I went back and watched it all from beginning to end. And then obviously when the House of the Dragon came about, I think I reviewed like the first 2 episodes, and then I just kicked back and watched it as a fan, because sometimes shows are just like that, where you just want to watch it. Don't want to have to worry about putting out a show, getting the facts right, being subjected to the toxic community at times of all their, you didn't get this right, you didn't pronounce that right, etc., etc., etc. But now I got a little ego to me, so now I don't care what anybody thinks, and I'm just here to do what I do.
We're here to have fun and talk about it. That's it.
Exactly. So with that being said, no, I wasn't heavy into the lore. I watched, the first season casually. I mean, I watched it, weekly, but I didn't watch it like taking notes and trying to get everything down to a T. But this season, as Stevie said, we're going to have fun. We're going to kick back and talk about each episode. And we do encourage you all watching us to get into the comments and let us know favorite moments of the episode, things we missed in a positive way.
Theories, anything
theories,
like that.
Yeah, exactly.
Go for it.
Exactly. And you can go as far as saying Easter eggs, because I even picked up on some in this episode. With that being said, I know for myself, we'll start off with a little bit of a review aspect of it. I've been waiting to hear this theme song return since October 23rd of 2022. So hearing it definitely gave me the chills. I already knew it was going to be an amazing return and premiere because of so much that was at stake from the finale. I just couldn't wait. So overall, fantastic first episode for me. There's so much to dive into. This episode delivered. I'm already on edge waiting for episode 2. And I thought they did a really good job in reintroducing all of our characters, but really understanding the stakes that are at hand, the allegiances that are trying to be formed, who's on what side, what are each person's sort of tactics, and then obviously a big heavy dose of grievance coming from one particular family, the Targaryens. At that, after that, what a but for you, I'll give you some time to get some airtime in here. What was your excitement coming back to the series? What's your thoughts about the first episode so far?
I was so excited for the show. I was so excited. I was ready for it to come back, and it didn't disappoint. It was so good. And like you said, they eased everybody back in, and things like that, and kind of like, see what everybody is doing now. And I thought that was really, really good. And what the plans are, there's definitely some symbolism in there that I have noticed. With the theme song, the opening credits, they keep talking about certain things, and I'm like, okay, I think this person may know more than what they're letting on. And just good. That's overall good. And it's good to see everybody back and having a good time making the show. It was really good.
Yeah. All right, so I'm going to briefly go over some of the events of the episode. I'm not going to go over every single one. I kind of dancing around some of the big ones or some of the ones I figured there may be factors to talk about. But without a doubt, I mean, listen here now, starting off the episode, and it is the House of Stark. It's the
The
iconic
House of
ice wall.
Stark. Yes.
Yeah, and this was a recruitment trip, which we know that was the goal by Renee's from her leading her sons, which it worked for some, and then obviously the
Did you
tragedy.
did you think that the opening narration sounded like Jon Snow? I was like, is that him? What? I thought it sounded like him so much, and it wasn't him.
It absolutely is. It was very meaningful for them to make it feel that way. Obviously.
Yeah.
Everybody knows Jon Snow is one of the most beloved characters, regardless if you agree with his pointless death and resurrection or not.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
But the House of Stark, and obviously, it's always going to be a tension with the North, and this was a recruitment trip, as I said, and Rhaenyra, thank you.
Sorry, I got it wrong. I think it's Rhaenyra, right?
Yeah, sending her sons there. Jace now going to meet with Cregan to decide if there could be a measure of alliance here. What did you think about seeing one of the most iconic towns in Game of Thrones, and ultimately the one son that did make it to their destination, and fulfilling his duty?
Yeah, it was something that they teased in the last season too. I believe that they were gonna go, and it was. And I had a feeling we were gonna see them again. Even like last season, like after that was done, I was telling my partner like, yeah, we're gonna see them next episode, and they're true to what they are. They always stand to their oath. We're like, we side with you. We're gonna send you people.
Yeah,
and we're on your side, and you got to hear the term "winter's coming," so
yeah, they're gonna give you that fan service.
Throw that in there, winter is coming, and things like that. So I thought it was good to see them, and the Night's Watch too. You did see them, and they do reference like the other side of the wall and things like that. They have to do it when you reference them. I feel like when you see the Starks, you're always going to get a reference to Game of Thrones automatically. Like, besides that, but, you're always going to get that.
Yeah. Yeah, and at this moment now, he's unaware of, kind of everything that's happening back home. So, there's a matter of grief that is to be done or be had with him. But, he's fulfilling his mom's duty, and with this war that is to come, and revenge now attached to that. This was a very
much so.
Daemon is a character that I think.
Daemon.
See, that's that. See, because Daemon was a character that people didn't like. Daemon definitely had some very heelish ways. But ultimately, I think in this first episode, how can you not like him? And I think the one thing about Daemon is that he's I won't go as far as say he's a man of his word, but he's definitely a man of action.
Yes,
he really quickly tried to put some things into place, because he asked Rhaenyra, he says, "What's up with riding the King's Landing? You got a dragon, I got a dragon. Let's go." What did you think about like Daemon being so strategical off break?
So okay, I love Daemon. I don't know why. Maybe it's a little biased because he's like a Doctor Who, the guy who plays this for Doctor Who. Maybe I'm just a little bit biased by that, but I do think he's a man of action, and he wants to get things. He wants to get things done, but he wants to do it his way. I always feel like even in the last episode, like he was not the last episode. I'm sorry, last season, he was always trying to like. Kind of like have Rhaenyra be the queen, but he's always trying to rule. Like he's trying to like he's actually the king, but she's gonna be the face. Like I always felt like that's something that he's always trying to do, and I feel like he's doing it now still. Like I always feel it. I feel that way.
Yeah,
right. Am I getting? Is that right?
No. I mean, like obviously, you look at him and you says, well, like he gives you adult Aemon vibes. So he's like,
Yeah.
I, I
Mhm.
I really
I
deserve to be that person. You know what I mean?
I feel that
Um,
way. Mhm.
but yeah, in fact, yeah, I think it's right. I won't go as far as saying empowering Rhaenyra, but like you definitely could tell like he wants to be there for her. He wants to, um I don't know. I feel like there's a sense of him like recognizing that like, she should still truly be the leader. He just wants to support her, and I think he wants to be acknowledged for his efforts or such.
Okay.
Which is why like later on in the episode where obviously the viewers, I mean, depends on what side of the fence you are here, your heart kind of breaks for her,
Oh yeah,
um
absolutely.
and as a man with a lot of words, he had none, and I think he felt a sense of purpose here. What do you call it, like savior complex here?
Mhm. Mhm.
Because he wants to make things right for her, which is interesting because I feel like as much as she made that declaration that I want Aemon, I'm thinking to
Oh my
myself, like,
god.
you might not want to actually execute him being killed. I think she wants to do it, which I
Yeah.
think could be completely problematic. But man, we'll talk about the end of the episode a little bit.
We'll take
But
over. Yeah, we'll talk about that later. Did you notice the intro for um the show that it changed from the last one? I think the
yeah.
last one was like, which with the from the last season was all like bloodlines, like it was like that
Mhm.
river of blood and things like that, which kind of tied
Mhm.
into like bloodlines in the first season. This one is like a tapestry, which I thought was really cool, and I think everything that's on there maps out to the rest of the season.
Yeah. It's Game of Thrones for sure. I mean, there's
Mhm.
always clues within the title. I didn't dissect it too much. I'm sure somebody
Mhm.
on the great old YouTube is going to get out there and dissect that trailer
Yeah.
10 times over. But yeah, I always do know like for me it's like always a measure of like context clues or little Easter eggs in there. So
Yeah. Yeah.
I'll probably pay attention much more next episode because at this point I was like, just get me into the damn episode. I need to see what's going to happen. Um,
Anyway.
with that being said, now word has got around about Rhaenyra's son being killed. And
Yeah.
not only just that, but the dragon as well too. So everybody and all over is aware of this. What did you think about how they rolled out that development? And I'll just say quickly that I thought it was going to be more of a thing. I thought it was
Mhm.
going to be more of a thing about how everybody found out, and just more or less like folks' reactions to when they find out, and they was going to
Mhm.
kind of seeing it like piece by piece. But obviously, word was getting out, and we're kind of seeing it in so as the viewers that like they're already aware and they're just discussing that they're aware. But what did you think, or did you expect more, or are you kind of cool with how they delivered Lasari's death?
Yeah. I did expect a little bit more.
Lucerys.
Yeah, Lucerys,
Lucerys.
yes. I did I did expect a little bit more, but I don't think overall it bothered me. I feel like there is so much they have to do
Yeah.
with these. I'm not sure how many episodes this have. Do we know how many episodes this has?
I'm gonna say 8, but I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see. But I feel like they have so much to do in
Mm,
these however many episodes that they have. So, I think it was already established that he passed, especially at the end of last season. And I feel like that even though there was a little bit more on it, I feel like it did enough. Like
yeah.
you did get to see her grieve and things like that. And I thought that was fine with me. Like
Yeah.
I think they have more important issues that they have to
They
attend
made
to.
they maximize the time, like without a doubt.
Mhm.
And that's the one thing this show has done religiously well is that you get a lot with it when with whatever runtime they give you. So hour they're gonna completely pack it with just nonstop actions or just plot developments and so on. So I definitely don't think they waste or miss opportunities in order to either insert things they need or remove things that are completely unnecessary. So yeah, for me, and it's been a while. It's been about 2 years now. I'm just was
Yeah.
suspecting like I thought that was going to be a big component of this, but that's because of what
Mhm.
most series would do is like you want to see how every single house has found out about the death and then how they will react to it. But nonetheless, one thing that is and forever will be the same, it seems like, is Allison and Cole doing their thing.
Oh my gosh.
What did you think? What did you think about her? Obviously, he's a sucker for love. You know,
He
he's a hopeless
is.
romantic. But she's kind of like, we can't do this anymore. Can't be. And he's kind of like, whatever. It didn't take long for that to happen because they were right back at it later on the episode.
Exactly.
Did you expect different?
I mean, like, I wasn't expecting it at all. Like I wasn't expecting it at all. I mean, like you said, he is a hopeless romantic. I always feel like Christian Cole is going after like these princesses and queens, and he can't have them because he can't be with them. That was the whole reason why him and Rhaenyra like did not get together in the first season, was because she was like, no, I want to be queen. You're a knight. I can't be with you. Like, you know, and I feel like he's doing the same thing again. But I wasn't expecting it. But I mean, it makes sense. I feel like they're both the two attractive like people. So, you know, her husband, her previous husband died, so she ain't messing around with no old guys anymore. So like
poor. I mean, I'll let that be. Aegon the second instantly annoys me.
Oh my god, yes, he has such a punchable face.
He does. And you know, that's what also Game of Thrones does. They make these arrogant leaders, whether king or prince, whatever it may be, who you just want to punch in the face. They ensure that they cast them to have punchable faces.
Yes, they do. Like Joffrey.
I guess we'll talk more about him in a little bit. But in this scene, though, we do see Tywin Lannister being annoyed by the young heir to the throne, the throne, in Jannari.
No, it was. Wait, was it? It's not Jannari.
It is
Jaehaerys?
Jaehaerys, thank you. Listen, let me wipe the dust off these pronunciations. And I dare any of y'all out like y'all can just know it all, bro. Y'all gonna be in the comments typing it like, yeah, so you can type it. I mean, you pronounce it. But obviously, young kid doing young kid things, and Aemon is clearly I don't know what the word to use, but like this seems like he always wants to take the annoying route of everything, which in this case, he volunteers that Tywin to give him a pony ride.
Pony ride. Yeah.
I literally thought it's Game of Thrones. I was like, yeah, that's definitely about to happen. But Alicent steps in and was like, we have more important things to talk about, which tells you just the power dynamic sitting at the do you want to go as far as saying like the split between the Hightower house and the Targaryen house, whatever it may be, but like the conflict here. What did you think about Aemon King and his ways of ruling, and also we're going to see the power struggle with Alicent?
I think it's Aegon. Aegon's the king.
Am I saying Aegon?
No, you're saying Aemon.
I'm sorry. It's absolutely Aegon. Yes. Aegon the second.
Aegon the second. Yeah, that's the king. Because I thought about it too, and I was like, wait, Aemon? Oh no, Aemon's the one with the one eye. Okay.
Yeah, Aemon comes in, and we'll talk about Aemon in a second. But Aegon,
yeah. So Aegon, I thought that was interesting to see, because I feel like that even though Aegon is the king, he's not really the king. Like, and that kind of like dwells into like other scenes later, where definitely like there are people pulling the strings, like Alicent keeping him in check, like stop being like, you know, the doing all this small like assholey shit, you know what I mean? Like, stop doing this, we got more important things to take care of. And I feel like that she, even though, and we'll get to that later, maybe if this is on your list, but even though she feels like she's always being undermined because she's a woman and she's surrounded by all these men, like I still feel like that she is also in the background pulling the strings to kind of like get him to do things in their favor, you know? And that, I feel like that's what Game of Thrones is. Like they did that last, like even in the regular Game of Thrones, like they were kind of always like pulling the strings.
I would challenge that just a little bit, because I don't think she's directly doing it. Maybe a little bit more inadvertently doing it, because obviously with her father although, you know, having
Hightower. Mm-hmm.
and being, you know, the right hand there, you know, he's been respected for, you know, his tenure with King Viserys. So,
Mm-hmm.
which is something we'll talk about in a second here. But I think with being Aegon's hand, they don't see eye to eye. Obviously, every single moment that Otto wanted to sort of inject himself, he kind of, you know, as most people should, you should pick your battles.
Yeah.
But now that he's starting to get a little bit of motivation from Alicent, I think now, and obviously them being on the same page, but obviously she's still feeling undermined and a lot of that. This is only going to motivate Otto more to kind of pipeline whatever her thoughts is so that they're on the same page, but make sure he's like right there as the right hand, put in setting it in his ear so that like sort of her path of things is it's being directed to him. And now this is called it what it is, man. He's a
Mm-hmm.
king, but like Aegon doesn't know what he's doing.
He's a child.
He's a
Like
child.
he's still. I think he's still a teenager. I don't even think he's old enough yet.
Absolutely a child. Absolutely a
Mm-hmm.
child. But anyway, Aemon comes in because Aemon is loyal and because he has Vagar,
Vega.
which everybody fears this duo. He
Yes.
gets a seat at the table at a table that he doesn't have a seat for, and it's kind of just pushed to the side. And you know, yeah, we get it with the bloodline and
Mm-hmm.
whatnot, but honestly, if it ain't as foreshadowing as it is now, I don't know what, but there's going to be a problem with that. There's
Oh
going to
yeah.
absolutely be a problem with that.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Absolutely.
as I said, there's a clear and let's just call it what it is. I mean, Aemon is probably the more suitable person. I mean, he is much like Daemon, but a
Yeah.
hot, more of a hothead.
Mm-hmm.
Daemon was a hothead early before they age, shall I say, before the time gap jump. But nonetheless, I mean, and honestly, we should just bring this up too. I think it's interesting that Alicent feels that Aemon is angry.
Yeah.
Aemon feels like Alicent's angry. I'm confused about at this point now everybody's pointing fingers at each other and with that I think it's going to also cause a really imbalance in power. I think as of right now Aemon is definitely loading up for something
Oh
under
yeah.
his for his own selfish reasons and intent. Are you having any predictions in terms of what you think he's going to do ultimately at this point now after killing his nephew here? This
Yeah.
guy clearly doesn't care
He
when it
does
comes down to get what
not.
he want to do.
I could definitely see him just going off and doing something again, like because he's done it before. Like he's just gone off and killed, basically, like started this whole thing. Like
Yeah.
killed the son. And I do think that they are both angry, but also something that like Eamon said, it's like Allison's angry, but she's also still sensitive
Mm-hmm.
to the Targaryens. And she is. There's points in the episode where she's does like I guess a prayer, whatever that
Yeah.
thing was, for the son and things like that. She's written letters to Rhaenyra, so she's still very sensitive to them. And I think overall that there is going to be a conflict within the High Towers. I definitely see that. Also, you kind of see that with Laris, kind of like planting a bug in the king's head, kind of like just being like, Otto's too controlling. You need a different hand. He was the king's old hand.
Yeah.
So he's like definitely, and I could definitely see something of like he doesn't want the Otto to be hand anymore, and he's gonna pick that guy.
Yeah, I mean, he's obviously lobbling. He's partitioning for a job here, without a doubt,
Yes.
which is clearly going to be a little bit more problematic for everybody involved. That's a storyline that I'm very much targeting in terms of next episode. I want to see how that's going to play out because, yeah, putting, as you said, planting those bugs in his ear, like, that's the old way,
That's very
and,
little finger right
yeah,
there.
and I think again, Aegon is young.
Mm-hmm.
He's going to kind of do with any type of guidance anybody gives to him. It's going to be a matter of who gets to him first, and I think that's going to absolutely play a part in terms of an issue. It's not going to be long before Aegon has some measure of defiance against Otto, or
Yeah.
does something to sort of remove Otto very viciously. I'm
Hmm.
guessing, but we'll see. We'll
Yeah.
see. We'll see. We'll see.
We'll see.
I already talked about Alice and her dad getting on the same page.
Hmm.
Now we're introduced to the White Worm, Masaria,
I think
uh,
so.
who is like basically running messages between Otto and then the House of Targaryen, which to me this shows you just I hate to say this, but I guess how mature Damon is. I don't think he's truly mature. I just think
No.
because he loves Rhaenyra so much that
Hmm.
he's willing to do what he has to do. Because at one man, he's like, throw her in the slammer,
Yeah.
because of what she did. This is an act of defiance against us.
Hmm.
Only for him to come back and say, "Wait a minute, I think we can use you now." And
Yeah.
you know I think that's the forward thing, and that's the best way to go about it, because Damon was told, like, she's not loyal to anybody. She's going wherever the dollar goes, and she's going to do what she
Exactly.
has to do. And as we knew by one of the twins, Harold, telling him, like, yeah, I actually believe her. I think Harold is also, it should be considered that he might be a good judge of character, because that will
Yeah.
be tested later. But we'll see.
Hmm.
But nonetheless, we're going to see how the White Worm, if there's any other future implications for what she can do. But as of right now, it definitely helped um, uh, Damon set for a plan in terms of getting to Aemon. So
Yeah.
um, after that, we do see the House of Targaryen, everybody coming together, and everybody is looking at Rhaenyra, because obviously everyone is looking to see what her plan of action will be. Her plan of action was very simple in 4 words: I want Aemon Targaryen.
That's right.
With so much emotion
That's right.
um, in her eyes. What did you think about potentially one of the most powerful moments of this episode?
I thought it was great. As a as an actor, like I thought the acting was really good by them. And I I believe it. She wants him. When she said that, I was like, "Oh, he's dead." Like she is going to kill him and the dragon. Everybody. But I thought that was really good. Uh
Yeah.
yeah, I thought it was good. Everything.
Yeah, fantastic acting up and down the board, because
Yes.
when we see
Mhm.
Rhaenyra earlier, looking at the because I totally forgot this part where she was looking at the dragon wing, and obviously, this is Arax, which was what they call it, the white dragon,
Yeah.
who was Luke's baby dragon, which obviously was when Luke was viciously killed by Aemon, and his more revered dragon of the sky. Um, I just think that and I got to say, first of all, just because of a fan, I love all the dragon designs, and I love
I love
how,
them
like,
too.
different sizes, different styles, different personalities, different measure of everything. There's just all different, and Valgar, who, as I say, revered because of Aemon. I am. I'm. I'm looking for more aerial battles. Shall I say? Of course, I don't want any more kids to be
Yeah.
slaughtered in a way, but at the same time, just like the cause and effect of these scenes are monumental, because now looking at how Renee is looking to seek revenge for her son by any means necessary, and it also has fueled Damon in a way that you know he doesn't have many words for her. He's there to kind of console her, but he's also very much adamantly setting a plan to move forward in order to kind of take matters in his hand. But as I said earlier, I think her declaration of saying that I want Amen is going to be problematic if Damon gets to him first in his plan, which we see was not successful at the end of this episode. But
No.
if it had, I don't think that's what she wanted. I don't think she wanted him dead. She says, "I want him." I think she wants it by her own hand.
Like she
What
wants to kill him herself, type thing.
exactly?
Yeah.
Exactly.
I I
Go ahead.
definitely think we're gonna get some aerial battles because I don't know if you noticed, like every scene when there's a dragon, and I love that. It's such like a small thing that you can put in a show, and Game of Thrones is so good with symbolism. Like every time there's a dragon, you always see like one dragon just flying in, and people are nervous and scared. Like, because they know it's about to, you don't know. You don't know if it's, the other side, if it's the Targaryens or the High Towers, just coming
Yeah.
in and just messing stuff up. I like that. I think that's such a good small detail. And
Yeah.
symbolism for, I feel like we are going to get some aerial dragon battles happening. Which I'm
Oh, it's
excited
it's
for.
without a doubt happening. I just wanted like every other moment that they get a chance. Um, I think that you're entirely right. The moment they see the moment they see anything in the sky, everybody's hitting the deck because they
Yep.
know everybody knows exactly what time it is though.
hmm
Um let's go to our next little scene here. We now see Jace returning, and he goes straight to his mother in tears and say, Cregan Stark has provided us 2,000 men and they console one another. What do you think that scene means for Rhaenyra? Because again, for everything that she's lost, and obviously she still has so much more love for her remaining two sons. But ultimately, there may be a little bit of like guilt here
hmm
because she was the one that sent them on these missions,
Yeah.
um, and never could imagine that that would be the result, and because of everything that's happened in the first season, and but what do you think for her to have her son in her arms? What do you think that meant for her?
I think it's also like a sense of relief because okay, she sent one son off to do the same thing and he died. Now, this one came back. So I think it's relief. Um and I also think that, they haven't seen each other since. And I
Yeah,
feel like they haven't had a chance to grieve together, because it was
yeah,
as a family, and I think they just needed that moment. So I thought it was really good. And it also shows that there are people that are going to be there to support them, in
yeah.
their battle and stuff like that with the Starks. And I think the Vale, was it the Vale or Jane Eyre? Um,
Hmm.
wants to support the queen too in exchange for a dragon, so we'll see how that plays out. So we'll see, but them two together, I think it was needed. It was that quiet moment,
Yeah,
and
yeah,
that and I feel like going back to like the first question about like the grieving, if there was like enough time to kind of like process the death
yeah,
of Lucerys, I feel like that was enough, for me, for
yeah,
those two coming together.
yeah.
Yeah.
I will say that I feel first of all, Emma Darcy performance already has just really taken a huge step forward.
Oh yeah.
So much emotions with it, but I like that moment. If you said it's like this moment of peace, because I would go as far as saying this will be the last time that we see this. This will be the last time
Exactly.
she shed tears before she wants to shed blood. So
Exactly. And a
I,
Game of
I
Thrones always has tragedy. There's
oh
always something gonna happen.
oh you know it what do you think you watching here? Yeah, expect things to turn up in a way that will have us talking each and every week. But
hmm
yeah, I can't wait to see what's next. But I mean, yeah, that was the last moment of peace.
Yeah.
I agree. The son needs to grieve a little bit. The mom is tired of grieving, I'm going to say, because I think she's ready to put action. And I think while she was there was very few words from her. If I'm not mistaken, she might not have said anything but I want Aemon Targaryen
I
this
think
episode,
so. Yeah.
which is telling in his own. um But here no there, because if that is true, if that's the only 4 words she spoke to this episode, you know, Damon taking it, understanding the mission here. He takes this intel that he gets, tells these rat catchers that he wants to kill Aemon. He sets up a little bounty of sorts, or pay them a little something to do so. And they're gonna do what they're gonna have to do. But anyway, with that being said, we do see we do see Aemon and Kristen Cole. They're having their little conversations about everything. And the one thing, I think the only thing that's really important here is that Kristen Cole's relationship with Allison is still low key.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
I have a feeling he's gonna blow it, but also I think this is us being able to understand the dynamic here, because while he is supposed to be the protector of the king here, the one thing he cares about more is his girl.
That's right.
And he wouldn't let anything be said bad about her, but at the same time too, it is explained to us that, like, regardless, that Rhaenyra and Allison, they still do care about each other, no matter how you want to look at it. I know they're on opposite ends. I know all of the posters, even our graphic here, show them and on the opposite ends of the table, but I think there is still a measure of love and respect for one another, which I think is very interesting, because I think the way how they're trying to sort of foreshadow it for us is that there's going to be a war against the two.
Yeah.
But what if they do get on the same side and they end up becoming a friend of a friend is my enemy, or enemy, however the saying's going, which obviously goes after the common issue here between the Aemon and the Aegon situation that they got. So we're going to see how that is, and how Kristen Cole maybe starts pillow talking things.
Yeah, we'll see. Everyone is always talking to people, always trying to push people to their side. So, planting the bugs in the ear. That's all the show is.
All right. Now, what do we got here next? So after that, we got the rat catchers looking for Aegon. They're looking for Aemon, and they see Aegon basically getting drunk, running his mouth. Probably the funniest comment of the episode, where Aegon is trying to essentially figure out his whole moniker, and nothing is really working. And one of his buddies decides to call him Aegon the Dragon Cock. Okay.
Sure.
I mean, yeah. I'll let y'all have that. We'll blame it on the drinks on that one there. We got the rat catchers there, and obviously the smaller one is trying to get out of there. First of all, the only reason I'm even bringing this scene up, because them kicking the dog is so on par with Game of Thrones antics. Like,
yes,
Game of Thrones is sure that it's going to make the viewers uncomfortable. The dog being kicked, unnecessary in my eyes, but it's Game of Thrones 101, is that anybody and everybody can get it, and there's not a moment that you won't be like on the edge of your seat, either cringing or grasping, whatever it's going to be. And so on. But nonetheless, this was a mission for the two of them. This was not supposed to just be one getting brought into the castle and that's it. But they realized where they need to go, and that's upstairs to the royal chamber to fulfill this mission. Only to get up there, and when they get up there, this is where everything starts to get very, very interesting. Now, the first things first is Helena is being held at knife point. I guess that's how you put that, and the larger rat catcher comes in, and he's just like, well, that's not what we're here for. And I love his logic here. I absolutely love his logic, because that's exactly how it should be, and the fact, because you were given a mission, and the mission was to get Aemon, and clearly that's not Aemon. He said, who's this? And it happens to be Helena, who happens to be Aegon's wife. Only for the tables to be shifted to the kids. Now, she offers to give up her necklace. She doesn't even really try to negotiate, but she was kind of like, well, here's my necklace and whatnot. But then they look at the two kids. They look the same. She points at one, and this is where everything. I want to hear exactly how you think about all this, but just for the viewers, obviously, they point at the kids. They look the same. Now it's a question of who's the girl, who's the boy, who's Janera, who's Janeri, you know, and obviously by taking the son, it does become it does sort of fulfill the requirements of a son for a son, you know,
It
because
does.
removing the son, and we know just how important sons are with all of this. Oh man,
And
first
he's also the
season,
next heir too.
and he absolutely is the next heir here. But it is a matter of one, is she telling the truth? And as I mentioned earlier about Harold being a sort of a good read of character here, and they're trying to guess what it is. So she gives up legitimately her son. Helena runs into a room. She actually just kind of like didn't actually have a plan in what she wanted to do, but she ultimately runs into the room. We're in the room. We see once again, because it didn't take long for Allison and Kristen to get a second round in, but she lets them know that they killed the boy, and Allison has a reaction of sorts and whatever. But for you, talk me through a lot of this. Number one, did you think that Helena was she telling the truth? What's her goal behind giving up her son? And just any other details you might have picked up on at this scene.
I definitely think this part was foreshadowed at the beginning, because like when she's just sitting there, she's just doing whatever. I don't know what it's called. The thing that she did, the needle stitch.
Yeah.
She says, like, she references the rats, and like there's rats around and things like that. And the king is just like, oh well, that's just her. She's just weird, I guess. But I thought it was very foreshadowing, especially since she's with the rat catchers and stuff like that. I do think she did give up the son. I think she did. I really do. I think she did. And that's this whole thing, even if it wasn't one of the sons, like, and it was just another child, like, I still feel like that this is gonna set off like an even bigger issue, like an even bigger blow up, like it like killed one of the kids. You know, I feel like it's just gonna set off a bigger issue, like a bigger war.
I mean, first off, the fact that Helena gives up Aegon's son, and they completely butchered him. So I don't think this is a swerve at all, because they chopped his head off, and I'm sure they went and looked at his genitals to in fact confirm, and they're going to take the head back to confirm it as well too. She ran to Allison's room, and she didn't run to Aegon. She didn't run to anybody else. And her running to Allison, I think, is telling as well too, because this seems to work towards possibly Allison's plan or something to Allison's favor. But I don't know. But she did not run to Aegon.
She didn't.
And we know how women are essentially used for kids, and I don't think there's, obviously we know the love of a mother in this show is one of the most dangerous aspects of it. Looking at Rhaenyra in the highs here. So this is just different. It's an aspect that I don't know how it plays out, but I for a fact think that there's a measure of allegiance, maybe even loyalty to Allison from Helena that we don't quite know just yet. Probably needs to be explored a little bit more. Aegon's reaction is going to be interesting. Aegon's reaction and how his reaction goes to Otto, and how Otto will have to respond, because early on this episode, as I said, Otto sort of picked and choose this time when he wanted to speak, when everybody was getting up there. What were they doing? All their random petitions, and Otto was just kind of there, kind of, navigating for that. Because he's the king, he's on the Iron Throne, he's the man, But now in this situation, what do you do? And how you respond, and responding out of anger is not going to help you anyway. But obviously, and then obviously on the other end too, now, like, what is Daemon's response going to be? Because this is not who they wanted. One, he's lucky because he should be happy it's not who he wanted, because I don't think that Rhaenyra would have been happy if it would have been Aemon. So,
but she still I feel like she might still get upset because I don't know if he did that without her knowing.
Oh, 1000%
Yeah.
she doesn't
Yeah.
know. So no,
So
it's it will be a
undermining
problem.
her, you know, which I
Mm-hmm.
feel like is a with trend with the females in the show. I feel like they
Yeah.
even Alice has sent it. Like you kind of like undermine me when I'm trying to do things here, you know? And I
Yeah.
feel like that's gonna happen with her too. It parallels with each other.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So I don't know. I don't know. Anyway, I'll say we'll stick a fork in it for this episode 1. Um, just in case I didn't make this very, very clear, the title of the episode is "Son for a Son," which was the statement that was made to Damon, to the rat catchers, to Harold, in order to get Aemon, which would, I guess, he feel would satisfy Rhaenyra for everything that's happened with their son, who was Luke, who was brutally killed
Mhm.
last season. But this is our first recap review, so
Yeah.
we'll get in the stride. We'll work out the kinks and make sure that the viewing experience is great for you all. But as
Yeah.
I strongly encourage in the beginning, you all get in the comments, let us know your thoughts about tonight's episode, things we picked up on that you agree with, things that you think we missed on, other little things, your theories, all of that. We encourage you all to fully participate in the conversation here.
Yes, that's definitely.
But until next week, until episode 2,
Yeah.
y'all jump in the comments. We'll see y'all down there, and we'll see y'all back next week. Thank y'all for watching.